If you've ever sunk your teeth into a spicy Bondi burger, then you already know. Oporto hits different. But what if I told you that this Aussie fast food icon, now with over 200 locations, started as a tiny beachside chicken shop run by a guy who just missed his mum's cooking? This isn't your typical franchise goes big story. This is about how one man, a secret marinade and a surf-loving suburb turned into a national obsession, and one of the most distinct fast food brands Australia has ever produced. Let's rewind to 1986. Bondi Beach was already a cultural hub. Backpackers, surfers, artists, and sun chasers all collided there. But amid the acai bowls and smoothies we see today, the food scene back then was, well, mostly your standard fish and chips and burger joints. That is, until Portuguese immigrant Antonio Sequeira stepped in. Antonio didn't come to Bondi with a business plan or investor pitch, he came with a craving for the bold, smoky flavors of the Portuguese chicken he grew up with. So, he did what anyone with a serious food obsession might do. He opened a chicken shop. Oporto's food packed a punch in a way that most Aussie takeaway spots didn't. The marinades were spicy and smoky, the chicken was grilled, not deep fried, and everything had that unmistakable made with love quality. Within weeks, the Bondi locals caught on. Backpackers would grab a burger and head back to the beach. Surfers would swing by post-sesh, still dripping wet, and chow down. Even foodies from across Sydney started making the pilgrimage. And once you tried it, that chili sauce became a permanent craving. You know the one, it's fiery, tangy, addictive. People would literally take tubs home and stash them like gold. By the early 1990s, Oporto had become a local legend. But it wasn't just about the chicken, it was about culture. The store vibe, the bold branding, the beachside attitude, it all worked together. Antonio, without even realizing it, was crafting a brand identity that would become one of Oporto's strongest assets. The beach energy, the laid-back cool, the Portuguese flavor, all wrapped up in a fast food format. Oporto's expansion was steady at first. A few more locations opened around Sydney. But Antonio wasn't in a rush to go national. He cared deeply about consistency and quality. He personally trained staff, protected his recipes like state secrets, and insisted on grilling over open flames. That kind of integrity is rare, especially in fast food, where the pressure to cut corners is huge. By the early 2000s, Australia's food scene was shifting. People were more health conscious, more adventurous with flavors, and ready to ditch the bland burger and chips routine. That cultural shift? Perfect timing for Oporto. The brand was already ahead of the curve. Grilled chicken, bold flavors, a bit of heat, and a fresh, casual atmosphere. It wasn't trying to be another McDonald's, it was doing its own thing, and people were loving it. The real breakthrough came when Oporto embraced franchising. Suddenly, the blueprint was there. Same marinade, same recipes, same brand feel, but now with the scalability to grow fast. Locations started popping up across New South Wales, then Queensland, Victoria, and beyond. What used to be a beachside favorite was now showing up in city centers, suburban malls, and even drive-through stops along the highway. In 2007, a major milestone. Oporto was acquired by Craveable Brands, which also owns Red Rooster and Chicken Treat. This move gave Oporto the resources to level up, streamlined logistics, better marketing, national ad campaigns, and serious growth capital. But what's impressive? Even after the acquisition, Oporto didn't lose its soul. The recipes stayed the same, the chili sauce remained untouched, and the beachside energy? Still alive and well, even in stores 1,000 kilometers from Bondi. By now, Oporto's signature item, the Bondi Burger, was the poster child for the brand. 2 grilled chicken fillets, lettuce, creamy mayo, and that fire chili sauce all stacked on a soft bun. It was messy, spicy, and unforgettable. You couldn't really compare it to anything else on the fast food scene, and that uniqueness is key. In a world where menus often blur together, Oporto carved out its own lane. Now, Australia isn't short on chicken. Between KFC, Nando's, Red Rooster, and every corner shop selling hot chooks, You'd think the market was saturated, but Oporto stood out. It wasn't trying to be ultra-corporate like KFC. It wasn't doing the Afro-Portuguese sit-down thing like Nando's. Oporto was in its own category. Fast, fiery, casual, beach-born. And that branding made it sticky. You remember your first Oporto meal, you tell your mates about it, you crave it after a night out. That's brand power. Oporto began eyeing international markets in the 2010s. First stop, New Zealand, then Singapore, then Sri Lanka, and eventually the United States. A location opened in Los Angeles, an ambitious move considering how fiercely competitive the American fast food landscape is. While international expansion is still in its early days, the vision is clear. Oporto wants to take its beachside flavor global. Slowly, yes. Carefully, for sure. But with the same confidence that made it thrive in Australia. What makes the brand so appealing abroad? It's not just the food, it's the story, the authenticity, the idea that this is real chicken, grilled with care, tied to a cultural heritage. In the US, where many fast food chains rely on uniformity and nostalgia, Oporto feels fresh, exciting, and premium without being pretentious. It's fast food with flair. And that global momentum is backed by die-hard fans. If you go on TikTok, Reddit, or food blogs, you'll find Oporto stands rating burgers, ranking sauces, and debating whether the Bondi burger or the Oporto burger reigns supreme. Some people even go so far as to create DIY chili sauce recipes at home, desperately trying to reverse engineer the OG blend. Spoiler, no one's cracked it yet. There's even a weirdly nostalgic element to the brand. For Australians who grew up in the 90s or early 2000s, Oporto isn't just food, it's memory. It's a post-beach lunch, a late-night feed after a concert, a chicken fix on a road trip. That kind of brand relationship isn't built overnight. It's built with consistency, care, and yes, a killer marinade. Behind the scenes, the business continues to evolve. More locations are going drive-through, tech integration is expanding, and delivery partnerships are stronger than ever. Oporto is also exploring sustainability initiatives like biodegradable packaging and waste reduction strategies. Because modern fast food, it's not just about flavor, it's about footprint. And of course, we can't ignore the chili sauce. People joke that it's liquid gold, and they're not wrong. That sauce has a cult following. It's bottled, it's hoarded. There are Reddit threads and fan-made copycat recipes trying to replicate it. But the original? Still a secret. Still locked in the Oporto vault. So where does Oporto go from here? The future looks hot, literally and figuratively. More international locations are planned. The brand is exploring collabs, limited time menus, and potentially even licensed retail products. Imagine picking up a bottle of Oporto marinade in your local supermarket. That's the kind of scale we're talking about. There's also talk of expanding into new formats like food trucks, pop-ups, and virtual kitchens focused solely on delivery. But through all the growth, one thing hasn't changed: the brand's roots. Oporto still draws its energy from that original Bondi beach store, from Antonio's story, from that first bite of grilled chicken wrapped in spice and smoke and tradition. That's what makes it work. That's what gives it longevity in a market where most fast food trends burn hot and then fade fast. In the end, Oporto is more than chicken. It's a story about identity, about heritage, about a man who brought a little taste of Portugal to the beaches of Australia and ended up creating a fast food empire in the process. And if you've made it this far without ordering a Bondi burger, I'm impressed. But also, why are you doing this to yourself? But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on more deep dives like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay curious.